Richard Pascoe on 1395, Adelaide's FIVEaa.
Thank you for joining me. 4 minutes past 4 here on 5AA on a magnificent Saturday afternoon. Steve, who are we going to talk about today?
Well, talking of sweetness, I'm sharing the story of the people behind Kytons Bakery. And that's a bakery that I'm sure everyone's familiar with. They would have seen the Lamingtons out and about. You would have eaten something from Kytons, wouldn't you?
Yes, I have. I've actually you've just reminded me, I've still got an appointment. I've got to go and see Kytons. So thank you for reminding me.
Oh, look, it's what I'm here for.
Thanks.
Now, the reason I want to highlight them is because when we see them in the supermarket, it's easy to think, oh, Kytons, huge brand. But they're not. They're actually a small to medium family business down there at Edwardstown. There's a lot of all hands on deck that happens throughout the year. And so that's why I want to just give a glimpse of who these people are, how they came together and what life's like down there. And I'll start with Sharon. So Sharon Sutton. She was actually wanting to be a journo when she started in her life. She studied politics and was going to study to be a journalist, and things did not go that way. She had no intention of being a baker. And in fact, she's had a couple of journalist friends of hers say, you know what, Sharon, I think you dodged a bullet because, there's been, it's hard yakka being in the news these days. Newsrooms have been shrinking, etc. Lots of pressure. And, not that there's no pressure running a small business, but at least you're in charge of your own destiny. But the interesting thing is she's still got that drive to be out there. So she does all the social media for Kytons. She's the brand ambassador. So she's probably on the media and in the media more than if she was a journo, truth be told. But there's something else about her that you might not know. When she was 8, she used to raise money for Oxfam. And she'd do this. I don't know if you've ever done anything like this. I haven't. She would go around to her neighbours' houses and ask if they've got clothes and things that they don't need anymore. And then with her folks, I imagine, set up trestle tables on the front yard and they would have a sale to raise money.
That's nice. I mean, it's like a little 8-year-old kid going around doing that.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's interesting. She didn't see this link, but I just said, oh, my goodness, this is like Kytons. Kytons is very well known in schools and churches and clubs for the fundraisers that they make it easy for people to raise funds by selling, their pies and pasties and lamingtons, etc. And I reckon the seeds of that were born back there in her life, just quietly. Now, Darren is the other part of Kytons, so that is right. We are talking Darren and Sharon.
Yeah, as soon as you said it, yes.
There's got to be an Aussie sitcom that's just screaming out for a Darren and Sharon, quite frankly. A couple of things about Darren. He, according to Sharon, because she was the one I was speaking to, he's actually quite a natural leader. He's been involved in Scouts since he was 8. Are you a Scout?
No.
Were you ever in
Scouts?
No,
I did. I did for a while. Yes, I did.
Oh, yeah. Can you still tie a knot?
No.
Okay.
Dib, dob.
Oh, you got that, though. That's good.
Yeah.
He was a leader there.
There's a Scout joke
years.
that I can't do at 4 in the afternoon on a Saturday afternoon.
All right. Tell me in the ad break.
I'll do that.
Now, she thinks actually Scouts has shaped him a lot. He's quite a leader, but he's very involved. Like last week, apparently, he was at every night. There was variety, there was Scouts, there were work things. But here's the thing. She reckons Scouts is great downtime for him, especially when they go camping. And so my note, anyone else listening in who runs a small business, because you can just work your butt off 7 days a week if you're not careful.
Yes, you can.
Find something, a hobby, a group, a club that forces you away from the business. She said it has been worth its weight in gold, having him fully engaged there, because you just get time to shift gears in your brain. And in fact, it even helped in the business. They were doing a new product, which is all hush-hush secret, but needed some ribbons tied. And so there was Darren teaching everyone how to tie reef knots, would you believe? So there you go, behind-the-scenes stuff. He's also a handyman. they need to make any fancy display, he just gets to it. In fact, if you've ever seen their stand at the Royal Show, that's always Darren's work. And this year, Sharon said, oh, we should do a huge bucket of cookies, and you've got to guess how many cookies. So there he was, buying plastic and forming it into this huge replica bucket and so on and so forth. But here's a couple of things that some of your listeners might remember. When they got together and had their first business, it was a bakery called the Flagstaff Hill Baker's Pantry. And they cut their teeth in baking together there. They were 20 and 23, and they owned that for 10 years. Didn't do lamingtons, but they were yet to come. But, that went very well for them. And then they bought Kytons 20 years ago, almost to the day as we speak. And here's something you might not know about Kytons. Only sold twice in its 84 years of history, and on both occasions, it was sold to the son of a friend of the previous owner.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So she told me, Darren came home one day and said, why don't we buy Kytons? And she laughed. And then she said, oh, you're serious? Oh, yep, because they were working a traditional baking shop, so they were doing overnight baking, had a 2-year-old, and so they said, you know what, let's do that. So the rest is history. They bought Kytons, and a couple of other things which I like about them. They're local. They try to source everything in SA as much as possible.
Which is great.
And they're loyal.
Yes.
Yeah, they're loyal. The apricots that go into their pies, for example, come off a farm that Darren's grandpa once owned in Merbco. Have you ever been to Merbco in the Riverland?
No. Where is it?
It's in between Blanchetown and Morgan.
Right.
And they still go camping there on the property, would you believe, to this day? So lots of ties with their
So Darren and Sharon go camping?
Yes. In fact, that's where they are this weekend, down at Victor Harbour. So they camp everywhere.
Okay.
I think it's the scout stuff in their blood. Or they're just saving money as good small business people.
Exactly.
Now, a couple of last things to note. I asked her what it's like to walk through a shop and see the Kytons there on the shelf, a bit like a singer hearing their song on the radio. She said she's kind of used to that now, but what she loves, she still gets excited if she's standing in the checkout queue and there's someone with Kytons in front of her. She said there's no buzz quite like that. It's fantastic. And another couple of things, I've met some of the people there. I've done a shift working there, making their hot cross buns. They're quite famous for them. And typically, it's older blokes have been the mainstay of their baking team, but they had 2 young ladies join the team in January, and it's changing. Everyone there, they're all saying the dynamics change. There's enthusiasm. The future is, sprouting seeds down there. And in fact, these young ladies got their first taste of a hot cross bun period of cooking this year, where you've got to work around the clock. And she said she thinks it was great. They learnt lots about themselves, pushed themselves to limits. And talking of limits, logistics every now and then, apparently in the week before Easter, this is the peak of hot cross buns, 9 staff went down with COVID.
No.
And so it was scrambled. They got old staff back. They had friends who were working their day jobs come and do a 6 till midnight shift. Their kids were working the midnight to 3 a.m. shift and then going to school the next day. This is the stuff that goes on in all sorts of businesses that you just never realize, that just to keep things ticking. And my final thing, Sharon, her favourite product is the mini lamingtons they've got out now. And she said it's because the chocolate to cake ratio is much more in favour of chocolate. Darren's favourite is the apricot macadamia slice, which is my favourite because those apricots are fantastic. And with macadamias, I don't think there is a better nut on this planet. They're butter. I don't know. What are you like with nuts, Richard? Are you quite partial?
I'm quite partial to a cashew.
Oh, yes. The little round one that bends a little bit to the left or the right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm quite partial, a beer and a cashew, a bad little bag of cashew nuts.
Oh, excellent.
And quick story, Steve. When I was in Tasmania, I felt like a bag of cashew nuts, picked up this bag, went to the counter, and this is a very out-of-the-way place, and paid $22 for this little bag of cashew nuts. Didn't realise until I got out, went back and said, how much are the cashews? $22. So, yes.
Wow, that was down in Tasmania.
Down in Tasmania, yep.
Gee, they must be hand-packed one at a time with tweezers.
Same brand that you get in the supermarket, the goldish brand that people are going, I know which brand he's talking about.
Wow. So it's that big travel bit overseas that they have to go from the Port of Melbourne.
Port of Melbourne. I think they pulled out in their Porsche and drove off. So not that I decry anybody earning money, but we digress.
We do. Look, last thing, I said to Sharon, what would you love people to think when they see Kytons around the place? And she said, you know what, just obviously enjoy the food, but every time you buy something from us, you're supporting us,
yep.
The people who work out the back, the people and they've employed, and all the people they get their various supplies from throughout South Australia. So it's not like buying that multinational product. It is something that has a real direct hit in the arm for people here in SA. So there you go. That's the story of Darren and Sharon from Kytons.
We're down. If you're listening, Darren and Sharon, hope you enjoyed the plug. Steve, where can we find out more about you?
Look, you can find me at talkedaboutmarketing.com. And if I'm back on with you again, there's a little surprise happening in the Port Adelaide area in the new year around fringe time that I will tell you first, Richard.
Steve, thank you very much. So, yes. Steve, enjoy the rest of your day. Are you up to anything exciting tonight?
Yes, a quiz night for the Payneham Bowling Club. Watch out.
Okay.
I normally carry the table when they pack up at the end of the night, having got no questions right throughout the whole event.
All right, if you're carrying the table, don't put your back up. Steve, have a good quiz night tonight. I expect to see it posted on social media, and we will talk to you next week.
No worries. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Steve.